One of Excel's best shortcuts for dealing with formulas is the AutoSum button. And invariably when we need to add up cells, it's more than a couple, and so why not take advantage of this button and its companion keystroke shortcut, Alt-equal. Now on cell G2, we'd want to do a total, let's say, of the cells to the left. Clicking AutoSum, this is the typical standard approach. I want to show you a better way, but certainly there's something of merit to say, when I use AutoSum, I want to know what it's about to do. So it's a good idea to click the AutoSum button, check out the visual, and if it makes sense, fine. And then what? Many people hit enter, that's fine. You can also click the button again. That brings to mind the shortcut. Instead of pausing each time as you have become more comfortable with the function, you know it's going to work nearly always. So why not just put the active cell in the appropriate position as here and simply double click AutoSum. Just fine. If you are using the keystroke shortcut, you want to hit Alt-equal and then hit enter. Same general idea, as you prefer. There are times our hands are on the keyboard, sometimes that's just a bit faster. A couple of other methods though as to how to use AutoSum most efficiently. For example, in column B, we've got some numbers right here. Now, if we were to highlight the numbers, we could then click AutoSum once. The total goes below it. A variation on that, not necessarily better, would be to highlight these cells and the empty cell below it and click AutoSum. The total will go there. And in the grid of data down here, you could imagine wanting to put totals on the right side. One method would be to highlight these cells just like this, click AutoSum once, we've got totals on the right. And it would be hardly any better to say that highlight these, but it would work the same way there as well. You only need to hit AutoSum once. And in other situations, maybe just beneath these, but not to the side, we might want totals right here. Same general idea, of course. Click AutoSum once. We're all set. Could we do both there on the bottom as we just saw and on the side? Sure could, if we highlight these cells like this and click AutoSum. We're going to get totals on the bottom and on the right-hand side automatically. And don't overlook this possibility, as I do undo here. If you really need an average across the bottom and on the side, hit the drop arrow to the right of AutoSum as it appears on the Home tab in the editing group. Click the drop arrow, choose average, and now we have averages, both below and to the right. So the average is here, of course, as you would expect, averaging up the cells to the left, and down here, for example, averaging the cells from above. And that goes for the other functions that are available off that button as well. So the AutoSum button and or its keystroke shortcut, Alt-equal, certainly can be used more efficiently than you might have been using them. It's a great time saver. And keep in mind, too, that in other kinds of data, you can use the entire column reference where appropriate. And by the way, here's one quick use of AutoSum that may disappoint you. This particular set of information here involves adding up times here to get the totals. Interestingly enough, if you were to highlight this data, you will see in the status bar at the bottom of the screen, the total. It's 27 hours and 38 minutes. Now, I'd like to also show you where AutoSum doesn't always do what you want. And you could say this is the fault of another aspect of Excel, but suppose you wanted to total these hours here. If they're highlighted, you can look at the bottom of the screen and see that they add up to 27 hours and 38 minutes. By the way, it could be minutes and seconds as well, but it says hours and minutes. Now, if you click on K9 to put in the total, and you go to AutoSum, you're obviously going to be a little bit disappointed. You know that isn't the correct answer. Now, the previous answer is 27 hours and 38 minutes. That's kind of a clue as to what's going on here, but the fix isn't nearly so obvious. As you might expect, this is a formatting issue, and I think it's a bit of a flaw in Excel. If you're adding up hours and minutes and they go over 24, you get the remainder. If they go over 48, you'll get the remainder over 48 hours and so on in chunks of 24 hours. If you were to right-click here and format this, you're on the right path to fixing this, but the solution is not an obvious one. When you come to the Format Cells dialog box and go to the time options, the answer is in here, the choice is in here, but certainly not obvious, and it's the one that has the 37 in it, as if we should all know that. As soon as you click OK, that is a sensible answer, although in this case it does show seconds, which we wouldn't want to see. And again, a quick fix, which I could have done earlier, right-click back into Format Cells, and this time jump into the custom variation. It'll take this same display we're using here, and we want to knock off the seconds and the other characters out there. And that with MM and then we're okay. So that's a bit of an adjustment you'll have to make when you're dealing with times. But in all other respects, I think you can see these various ways of using not only the AutoSum button, but its variations in tabulating data in columns and rows and in rectangular ranges is certainly a lot faster than writing functions and formulas.